Good morning, everyone, and welcome back, finally, to a new reading vlog. So, I've been away for the past week or so, I want to say. So, I haven't really been able to film any reading vlogs because I've been helping my mom with her work and whatever. If you see any mess back there, we're just gonna ignore it because still unpacking, and I left. What happened was I had my valedictory dinner, and then I slept over at my friend's house, and then I had to leave the morning after. So I didn't really come home after getting ready for my val dinner, and obviously I left a bit of a mess, which I will clean up. But today is a new reading vlog, not a new week because it's Tuesday, and yesterday I just chilled, and I'm gonna show you the TBR. So one book that I've been going through reading slowly is this poetry collection by Billy Chapata, Flowers on the Moon, and I'm enjoying it so far, but I find it a little bit of a hit or miss when it comes to the poems. Like, there are a few that I've tabbed that I do really love, but there are others that I just don't really see how it made it into a collection. Does that mean? But I don't know. Yeah, so this whole collection, I'm not sure if it'll get a very high rating, but I do like a few poems in here. So I'm gonna make my way through that. I tend to read it in the morning when I'm drinking my coffee, and I don't know, it's just a nice way to start the day. So yeah, I'm going to continue reading that. And what I really want to read this vlog is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. Leigh Bardugo? I have read all the other books in the Grishaverse, and the reason I've been putting this one off is because I know that I won't be able to read Rule of Wolves because I want it in this size. I want Rule of Wolves in this size, but currently at the bookshops in Australia or Sydney, I can only find it in the bigger size, you know, the other paperback size that's really big. So I only have this, and I've been putting it off because I know that I'm gonna love it because so many people love it. And it follows Nikolai, which must be everyone's favorite character from the original trilogy. If he's not, then please leave. Yeah, so I'm excited to get into this, and I don't know. I'm just really excited for this one. Hopefully it's good, because I think this is the most recent trilogy that she's written, so I'm assuming that it's duology. So I'm hoping that her style has developed even more from Six of Crows, because you can definitely see the author's development in writing from the original trilogy to the Six of Crows duology. It's just, they're both completely different. I found myself, because I read Six of Crows first, what's the trilogy called? Shadow and Bone? The Shadow and Bone trilogy. I found that really quite disappointing when I first read it because it felt very flat. There wasn't any of the layers that were present in Six of Crows. But since she wrote this one after, I'm hoping that, I'm hoping that we get more from it. And this also follows Zoya, is that her name? Yes, this also has Zoya's perspective, which I am interested in because you meet her in the trilogy, in the original trilogy, as like one of the mean girls who doesn't like Alina and like pretty much bullies her. And then you do meet her briefly in Six of Crows, and she's helpful then, but you don't really know much about her. And I'm excited to learn about her history, just about her as a character, because I think there must be some things to discuss there. The last book, if I have time in this vlog, because I think it might only be a few days, I want to read Kim Ji-young, born 1982. Mainly because it's a short book, and I know I can get through it quickly, but also because I've heard so many amazing things about how this illustrates like feminism or lack of feminism and the role of women in Korean society. So I think one thing that living in a Western society we often forget is in places like Korea, China, East Asia, I'm gonna say, because that's what I understand mostly, the role of women is still quite rigid. There's still a lot of like expectations placed upon women that we might not have in our Western society anymore, but in places like Korea, I think there are still quite rigid expectations of women to be timid and respectful and, I don't know, docile, I guess. So I'm excited to read this. I've heard many good things about it, saying that it's just really good. So that is my TBR for this video, and I'll talk to you when I have an update. Okay, so it is now the next day because I don't know, I spent yesterday all day gaming, playing Genshin Impact, and you know what? Sometimes I can't read all the time. It's okay, I say, to convince myself. It's okay, it's fine. But I am 100 pages into King of Scars, and I mean, it's Nikolai. Like, come on. He's like, ugh. He's not my favorite character in the Grishaverse. I mean, Kazbreka will always be number one. But you know what? When he's a blonde, and he's charismatic, and he cares for his country, and he's so freaking ambitious, and he's got his faults, like, and he's vulnerable just that little bit. I mean, he's like perfect, right? And you know, I watched the Shadow and Bone Netflix series, right? And I'm so excited for the next season, by the way. But I watched it, and Zoya looks different in that. Like, obviously they've put more diversity in, so Zoya looks different compared to how she's actually described in the books. And sometimes when I'm reading, I find that a little difficult. It's just slightly different. So I think what I'm trying to do is to get my mind to picture Zoya the way that she's described in the book. But all that happens is, like, the actress, I'm sorry, I don't know her name, but the actress that plays Zoya in Shadow and Bone in the series just keeps popping up in my mind, which, you know, I'm not a fan of because I like to imagine my own characters. But yeah. Nina's back. We love Nina. And I'm loving, even though, like, what she went through was horrible, I'm really loving the new arc of her character with, like, okay, I'm not going to spoil, but I'm loving the new arc of her character with what happened in the Six of Crows duology. And you know what? Lee Bardugo, back with the amazing writing. I love it. And multi-perspective, love it. The one thing with the multi-perspective writing is that it takes a bit of time to introduce the circumstances of every character. So for the first like 50, 60 pages, not really much was happening. It was definitely more of like an introduction to the world. And this book, I'm not even sure how long it is. It's like 500 pages. So I'm expecting a lot. Sorry, my arm's tired. But yeah, I'm excited to keep reading. I think Nikolai is probably my second favorite character. I don't know, him and Jesper, same kind of vibe. Like, do you see? But I don't know. Kazbreka is still number one for me, but Nikolai, oh my god, coming at a close second. And I'm so excited to see what happens next. With the writing, I don't know, Lee Bardugo, her style of writing is just so good for fantasy. I don't even know how to explain it. I just love it so much. It's so good. And it's definitely developed since the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Like, this style is definitely more similar to the Six of Crows, which I'm happy about. There was something else I wanted to add. Oh, I'm loving the little Easter eggs that we're getting. Like, references to what happened in the Shadow and Bone trilogy and what happened in the Six of Crows duology, like references to characters, you know, apart from the explicit, like, Nina. Yeah, that's kind of all I have for this update. I mean, I'm only 100 pages in, but I am loving it so far. Another update, I don't have it with me right now because it's downstairs, but I read some more of the Flowers on the Moon, that poetry collection, and I'm really liking it. My thoughts remain the same. There are some poems in there that I'm like, oh, is it poetry or prose when you have like that? I think there's a fine line. It's just a collection of writing, I'm just gonna say. But there are some that I like and others that I'm less into. Like some of them just feel like, you know when you write something and you just put in pauses and you're like, oh my god, it's so meaningful? Some of the writing feels like that. Another thing is Billy Chapata. He does a lot of bolding of words, like he bolds words in the poems, which I think could be effective, but the thing is, it kind of takes away from the amount, personally, I think it takes away from the amount of like skill, I want to say, needed. I think when you write, it should be able to naturally flow in a way where the emphasis is placed on the right words. And if you're using like a bolded word to place that emphasis, it feels kind of like a shortcut to me. I don't know, that's just my personal thoughts. And yeah, that is my reading update. Hopefully, I do some more reading today, but I'm not sure because, you know what, Genshin Impact has got a hold on me. Yep, yeah. So, I will update you later when I read more. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. But yeah, I keep on saying but yeah. Okay, bye guys. Hey guys, so it's been a hot minute. Not gonna lie, did not have a very good reading week because one, I started playing Genshin Impact and kind of got obsessed with the game for a few days. Still kind of obsessed with the game, but you know, we've got other stuff to do. I also got a job, which admittedly only happens at night and does not take up much of my time, but I'm gonna blame it anyway. And I've just been in a half reading slump. Maybe 2 weeks ago, I didn't really feel like reading, and now I'm still kind of in the reading slump. But I did manage to finish these 2 books. I didn't get to read this. I just didn't get to this, but it's short, so we're gonna ignore that was part of my video's TBR and just talk about the books that I did read. So I finished Flowers on the Moon by Billy Chapata, and I mean, like I said before, it's mediocre. It's okay. Some poems, I've got tabs in this because there are some poems that I really did like and some that, there was one that I teared up in, and that was touching. It's called, It's called I Met Your Father for the First Time Today. So that one was emotional for me, but that was kind of it. I gave this book 2.5. Some of the poems I really didn't like, some of them I really loved. And obviously when you get a collection of poetry, you're not going to love every single poem. But I just found that the language that was used wasn't intentional enough in a lot of poems. And like I mentioned before, the bolded words just I didn't really vibe with it. But yes, we're not going to talk about this now because we've got this to talk about. King of Scars. 5 out of 5. Straight up, 5 out of 5. Leigh Bardugo, Leigh, amazing. Like, I have no words. We've got Nikolai, our favorite charismatic boy. I love this. There was nothing in this that I did not like. I loved that Nina was in there, so we got like a sprinkling of like Six of Crows kind of information. Not information, what is it? Easter eggs. We got a sprinkling of Six of Crows Easter eggs, and I just loved it. I loved the writing in this. I loved the variation. I think Leigh Bardugo had a really good balance between short, sharp, action-packed scenes and more descriptive, more emotional, more, I don't know, longer sentence structures. I don't know. She's just really good. And the writing in this is very similar to Six of Crows, I think, and I really enjoyed that. So I gave this 5 out of 5 stars because there was literally nothing I did not like. I could not find a single fault in this, except for the fact that Rule of Wolves is not in the right size. Like, Rule of Wolves is probably like significantly bigger than all of my other Grishaverse books, so I'm not going to buy that. And I don't know what I'm going to do because this left off on quite the quite the cliffhanger. See, I'm so excited, even my language doesn't know what to do. But this left off on quite the cliffhanger, and I really want to know what happens. Characterization was great in this. If you haven't read anything from the Grishaverse, I highly recommend you do. The trilogy, the original Shadow and Bone trilogy, I wouldn't say it's not crucial. It helps shape your understanding, but the writing in there is a little bit, it's not great. It's pretty mediocre to me, because I started off with Six of Crows, which, yeah, when you go from Six of Crows to the Shadow and Bone trilogy, the writing, there's a disparity there, because obviously she wrote Shadow and Bone first. But yeah, Six of Crows duology, I highly recommend. King of Scars, highly recommend. Unfortunately, Nikolai Landstov, is that his name? I've read a whole book about him and I can't pronounce his last name. But Nikolai has not usurped Kazbreka as my favorite male character from the Grishaverse, but he is very close. And him and Zoya, yes. I love Lee Bardugo and how she puts in romance, but doesn't explicitly act on it. Like, romance is definitely not a major theme in her books. So if that's what you're looking for, you're not gonna find it. But she does the perfect amount of like hinting at romance, hinting at feelings, but never actually doing anything with it that much. Kind of reminds me of Brandon Sanderson in that way. And that just makes you want it more, right? You're literally scraps. You're picking up scraps. And it's amazing. As you can see, I've got tabs in here of quotes that I loved. And yeah, that is my reading for this week. I must say I am a little bit disappointed in myself because I did not read a lot. But you know what? It's fine. Sometimes we need a break. And I did read an amazing book. So if you guys have read any amazing books lately, or not so amazing, and you just want to share, just leave it in the comments and I'd love to hear your opinions. Or if you've read King of Scars, what did you think of it? Do not put spoilers for Rule of Wolves because that's just gonna make me upset. But yeah, I will see you in my next video. If you like this one, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!